Hello, this is James Wisser from Acid Yellow. I'm an IronSpeed MVP, and today I'm going to be showing you how to navigate through an IronSpeed Designer generated application. When we look at an IronSpeed Designer generated page, we're quite familiar with the standard browser rendered view of what we're looking at, but it can be quite tricky to understand exactly where that content is stored within the quick layout editor within IronSpeed Designer. So let's cut across to IronSpeed Designer into the development environment and try to understand the relationship between what we're looking at on the screen here and where exactly that content is located within the page hierarchy. So if we move over to IronSpeed Designer, we can see that we're now looking at the page, the Show Categories table page that we were looking at momentarily in the browser. And at this point we've arrived in the Categories Fields section of the page. I can see that by using the two different navigation controls at my disposal within the development environment. The first of these at the top is known as the breadcrumb, so called because it effectively enables us to track where we are within the hierarchy by tracking ourselves back as though we'd left a breadcrumb trail. So I can see here that the very end of that trail represents the position of where I am now within the application. Or within the page hierarchy rather, and at this point I'm at the categories fields level, so that's how I know that where I am within the page. To the right of that I've got a hierarchical drop down control which is extremely useful. If I pop that open, you can see now the full hierarchy of the page and the nesting of the different controls and areas of the page content all displayed on a simple control. I can hover on whichever area I'm after and directly click through to that level. But let's go back and look briefly at the breadcrumb control again and try to understand how we can use that more effectively. So if we look at the breadcrumb, at the very top level of the breadcrumb where I'm currently hovering, we have the master page. This is the ASP master page or IronSpeed master page definition that this particular page is using. And we can see over in our Application Explorer in the master pages folder, there are a number of different master pages available to us there. The default master page for our application is currently the vertical menu master, which we saw when we were looking at the page rendered in the browser. In addition to that, as a result, if I navigate all my way back up through the breadcrumb and click on master page, you'll see that I've now been taken across to the vertical menu master, and then I can edit that content there. So everything that we were just looking at within the Show Categories table page will actually be contained within the page content area of the master page that we're looking at. Returning then to the Show Categories table page here, you'll notice that when I click and select the Show Categories table page, going back to it from the vertical menu master, IronSpeed Design has actually remembered what level of the hierarchy we were looking at that page at previously. So that helps us when we're moving between pages to be fairly sure that we go up to the right level and not have to endlessly be navigating upwards and downwards through the hierarchy. However, looking back at our breadcrumb then, we've seen that the master page takes us to the vertical menu master in this instance. Another element of the breadcrumb is that I can right click these little arrows, and when I pop that area open it will show me all of the child areas within the hierarchy that fit underneath there. So if we go to the Show Categories table, this is the very top level now of the page, of the hierarchy of the page that we're looking at. Within the Show Categories table at the very top level, all I have on the page is the Categories table control. So there are numerous ways I can now interrogate or look at the content within that Categories table control. I can double click it here in cell A1 and it will open and show me now what's within the Categories table control. Alternatively, if I go back with using my breadcrumb control, I can pop the breadcrumb open and reach the child content of it by popping open the breadcrumb. In addition to that, if I pop back again to the Show Categories table top level, I can then also reach the Categories table control using the hierarchical drop down list on the right hand side, like so. So you can see that there are numerous ways of getting at that child detail, whether we prefer to use the breadcrumb at the top here, whether we prefer to double click the underscored or underlined areas which are showing us almost like a hyperlink within the quick layout editor, or whether we use the hierarchical drop-down control on the right hand side. So moving then back to the quick layout editor, I can see that I've got a categories panel header and a categories panel section. So clearly if I pop open the breadcrumb, both of those are now available to me as the child components of the categories table control at the top. And again, I can click on any of those to go into the detail of them. Alternatively, I can double click them from the quick layout editor, and again I can also access them directly by clicking on the hierarchical drop down list on the right hand side. Eventually, of course, depending on which particular table or page component I'm clicking on, I will reach the bottom detail level. So here with the categories title, that's where the actual categories title will appear on the page when it's rendered, and I can access the property or the value that's being displayed there by using the properties dialog within Designer. The main area that you would probably tend to focus in a table control is the actual data and headings that are displayed. Although it may at first strike you that the categories fields section will display just the fields, both the headers of those fields and the fields themselves are made available to you within that area of the hierarchy. The one further control that we have available to us to enable us to or help us do easy navigation through page hierarchy are the plus and minus buttons to the right of the breadcrumb. So now at the bottom level, the categories fields, or as far down in the hierarchy as I can go in this particular branch of the tree, if I click the minus symbol, you can see that I'm then going to navigate upwards, back up through the hierarchy again. And in addition to that, rather than double clicking on the section within the quick layout editor, if I click on categories panel here, rather than double click, I can now zoom in with the zoom control here, and you'll see that I can then get back to the fields content of the page as I had done previously. So I hope that's done something to show you how to utilize the navigation controls throughout the hierarchy of a page, and told you a little bit, really only touched the surface, on how page content is structured within IronSpeed Designer. Thanks very much for watching.